Coach, you're 1-3 now, and you've had some tough games here early on. The schedule didn't do you any favors, and having one of your best players down for a while hasn't helped you. But I think in a way it might, because it's made your other players better. And, boy, Jabril Allen had a great game for you tonight.
Yeah, he did. You know, we turned it up on Jabril this week on what we expect of him as far as from an effort standpoint, a leadership standpoint, a toughness standpoint. And he responded with probably his two most active practices of the year. He had a nice ball game last night. Obviously, he had a great game tonight. Kind of gassed out in the second half. You know, we've got to get him in better shape. He missed several days. Not this past week, the week before with pneumonia. So, you know, we've just got to get him in a little bit better shape so he can finish in the second half. But I'm really proud of that kid. You know, he has a lot of responsibility on his shoulders for our team right now, and he's responded really well to that. And so is Caleb Mallory. You know,
Right.
Those guys care a lot about our team. They care a lot about our program. They care a lot about Muncie Central, and those guys want to win worse than anything. But you know, it's great that you can say that we're a better team right now than we were 2 weeks ago, and I really believe that with all my heart, and I'm proud of our kids. We just have to be better in situations. You know, we got it to 54-52.
Right.
We had the ball. We ran a play for Jabril and got called for an illegal screen. They score a layup. We come down, turnover. I think they score a layup again, and then it's to 6. You know, instead of having a chance to tie or get the lead there, and then now for us, you know, it's tough to when we need a basket to get something other than a perimeter shot, and
Sure.
and you know, we've got to find somebody inside that can score for us with some consistency. We've got to be able to get the ball inside instead of relying so much on jump shots and things like that. But all in all, I'm really proud of our kids. You know, the first half, they did a great job on the offensive glass on us. I think that they had 8 or 9 offensive rebounds in the first half. And, you know, we can't allow that. You know, our kind of message was to our kids tonight after the game was, let's control what we can control. You know, we can control our effort on the glass. We can control our shot selection. We can control our decision-making. And, you know, we do those things, and who knows, you know, we may have won both this weekend. You know, last night we gave up 23 points off our turnovers.
Right.
And, you know, you cut that in half, and it's a one-possession game there. And, you know, and when we can control those things. So, you know, it's a learning process. These will be 2 great films to let our kids get a look at on Monday and Tuesday of this week. You know, we'll break those down as coaches and really try to learn from that. And we've got to bounce back. And what a great weekend for us to play you know, a top 10 team in 4A, a top 10 team in 3A.
Right.
And have to bounce back tonight and play a kid that the big kid inside's a real load for them, a stud, great touch,
Brandon.
just a great feel. So, and they run a lot of great stuff. And that's a tough turnaround from a scouting standpoint. So we'll learn from that, and that'll be a nice thing to teach our kids, you know, how to go back-to-back. And with the experience that we have, you know, we were okay tonight.
I know you preach a lot about toughness and just, you know, it all begins with effort. You got to be tough, and you got to play through those down periods, those periods where you got it to 2 and now it's back to 6 and you can't give up. You got to keep trying to get it to 2. And unofficially tonight I have Allen for 29, Mallory for 17, your senior guards. And you mentioned Brennan, the 6'6" post player from Guerin, and unofficially had him for 26. And here you are playing with 6'1" and 6'2" and trying to guard him, which is tough for anybody. But
It's what we got, you know.
Right,
I
you
mean,
play the hand you're dealt.
Yeah, and we'll do that, and you know, we're not here for moral victories or anything like that. You know, we felt like we had chances to win the game, and we did. And
Sure.
And you know, give Guerin credit because we'd seen them in their first 3 games, and they'd not shot the ball the way they did in the first half tonight. They were 7 for 12 from 3 in the first half, and we did not expect that from them. And so that's a credit to their kids to come in here confident and shot the ball really well. And kind of caught us off guard a little bit from our scouting standpoint on them. So, you know, it was a great effort. You know, you always look back and wish you'd done, you know, a few things. You know, we had Daryl McKinney, number 50 tonight, who's a freshman. Marcus Dukes played out there. He's a freshman a lot tonight. So, you know, those guys are getting their feet wet here, and you know, both of them played pretty well.
Sure.
You know, Daryl hit a big 3.
Yeah, he
and
did.
And, you know, I'm just proud of those 2 kids for coming in some tough circumstances. and doing some good things for us. But Jabrell and Caleb, again, those guys, that we have to have that from them, and it's easier said than done. Obviously, you can say that you're going to do it, but to come out and do it, nice job by them.
Things don't get any easier for you. You go to Newcastle on Friday, and I think you've got Delta here Saturday. So it's another tough back-to-back 24-hour period for you and the kids. You'll have Woods on Saturday. You won't have him Friday. How big of a factor will that be getting him back for you based on how you've played better each night out so far without him? Now you add him to a Jabril Allen and Caleb Mallory backcourt, and things may be a whole lot different in a hurry.
Potentially it could be. Travis has got to do what he needs to do in our school and make sure that he's able to get back with us. And, potentially, it could be a good thing, but I'm just really proud of who we've had. And, it's a great weekend again for us coming up. Newcastle's playing really well right now. Coach Bennett's son's back. He's shooting the ball well.
Yeah.
Corey Ryan, their point guard, has scored over 30 a couple times already, and they got a big guy in the middle. And they run a lot of stuff, so our kids are going to have to have a good prep week and understand what we're going to want to try to do on them defensively. And you turn around and play a county rival again on Saturday night, sectional opponent. Again, a great weekend for us early in the year. And, I expect for us to be better again next week than we were tonight.
Coaches are never happy. They're by nature, coaches want more every time.
Yeah.
But given everything you've been through and the quality teams you've played so far, are you at least pretty satisfied with how the kids have responded to what you've asked them to do? And, the fact that they played the defending champion really tough tonight in the third quarter. You said they were within 54-52 and had the ball in their hands. And I don't know if a lot of people would have guessed that about this team based on last night, but there you were. You were right there with one of the best teams in Indiana.
Well, our kids expect a lot of themselves.
Yeah,
there's not a kid in that locker room right now happy at all. And that's the great thing about our kids, and it's the great thing about Muncie Central. These guys expect to win. And so you don't have to ever get them motivated to think about that. So, they know that we've got to clean up some areas. They know that we've got a hard week ahead of us, but I'm proud of them. I'm not satisfied, but I'm proud of them on how we've grown in the last couple of weeks. Maturity-wise, we've gotten more mature. We were understanding roles a little bit more. We had some guys take some shots out there tonight that's just in the heat of the moment made some bad decisions. But we'll get better at that, and we'll continue to evolve offensively and try to get better there. And it's exciting, frustrating all at the same time. That's what it's all about. But I hope that nobody's given up on us, because I think that we could be right there when it counts.
I've said all along. Some people think I'm crazy. I've said I think this year's team could be just as good as last year's team in a different way. You're Baskin Robbins and you're buying a different flavor this year, but it's still pretty good ice cream. And I think by February, you're going to be showing people around the state of Indiana that the purple and white banners hanging here are for a reason, and that you don't come in here and take Central lightly, or you don't show up and take them lightly, because if you do, you're going to be in trouble in a hurry.
Yeah, thanks for the kind words. We appreciate that, and that's what we're all about. We're going to keep grinding away. There's certainly not anybody hanging their head. I mean, if they're hanging their head, it's because we're disappointed. We're not, we know that we can continue to get better just based on some things that obviously that we need to work on out there. And we'll as coaches get back to the grindstone tomorrow and watch our film and get back with our kids Monday. And we're excited about that. We're excited about our next week and to see what we can do.
Well, I appreciate you every time you come up. You're a pro, and I appreciate the courtesy. I'm a big fan, and here's hoping you go out and get 2 straight next weekend, and we're celebrating a weekend tonight.
Be music to our ears for everybody, especially my wife and family at home. I don't take it home
he
so well.
Said that. Not me, Mrs. Fine.
We certainly appreciate you guys doing what you do for us. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for coming up. He's Matt Fine. He's the head coach at Muncie Central, Fine head coach, and the Bearcats are only 1-3 right now overall, but I guarantee you by the time this season is over, there will be a lot more W's on that board than L's.